In this presentation, I'm going to show you how to use discount factors for calculating future values and present values. Say, for example, here we have a specified future amount. We know what it's worth like 2 years down the road, but we want to bring it back into what it's worth today, its present value or its current value. So we would multiply that future value, in this case, by this present value factor, and that's what it would be worth today. And of course, these factors are based on an interest rate and number of periods that they represent. So where do you get these things from, these discount factors? Well, the accounting books and the textbooks have for each one of these factors here, annuities and present and future values, they have an entire sheet for each one of them, and they have name across here, and then they have the interest rate across the top, number of periods down the side, and then you pick out your number of periods, and where it intersects with your interest rate, then that's your discount factor. Well, secondly, what I'm going to show you is how you can replace these sheets with these tables here with just a simple little Excel program here, where once you put in your interest rate and number of periods, boom, you hit the enter button and then you get all your factors. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility, and you don't have to go back and refer to the tables in the book. So what I want to emphasize here is that, you know, with our modern day Excel programs and financial calculators, we probably don't use this very often, but they're still around, and you should know how they work and how to use them. Here I'm going to show you how to determine the present value and future value using these discount factors. For example, here we got a known amount here, and we can use a discount factor to determine what its future value is here, and vice versa. Say we know what the future value is here, and we can use one of those discount factors to bring it back into the present value. And just a note here, on those formulas down below, you'll see here you got an OA, that's a suffix at the end of the present value, and OA, that would be ordinary annuity. That's what we have at the end of the period. So in this case, we have our annuity or equal payments here, but at the end of each year. And then we have like the AD here, that stands for an annuity due, like PVAD. Now that's where we get the payments at the beginning of the period. So we just shift these 4 payments over to the beginning of the period. So you get the first one here at the beginning of the year. Now let's go down here and just look at our formulas. This is how we use these discount factors here. Say, for example, we want to determine the present value, we know the future value, and then we take it times the present value factor. Now we can manipulate these equations here, where we got the present value equals the future value divided by the future value factor. Now that's just taking this future value equation here and using some simple algebra on it to you take the future value factor and divide it over here by the future value, and that gives you your present value. Same is true here for the future value equals the present value divided by the present value factor. So for these annuity payments, we can scan on down here, where we take the payment times the factor, and then if we want to determine the payment, we can take the present value, in this case of an ordinary annuity, and then divide it by its factor. Okay, we'll just scan on through here. You take note of these. All right. Okay, then the last thing here, if by any chance you need to know the factor, I've got the equation here, like present value factor equals the present value divided by the future value. So we can determine all those factors here. All right, that's how you would use these present value factors to determine present values or future values. Here I'm going to show you how to make your Excel program so you can calculate these discount factors for each one of these future values and present values. So you'll enter your formula over here in this cell, and down the list here for each one of those, and then you'll put your interest rate up here, and then a number of periods here. And just for reference here with these formulas, I use B3 was the interest rate, and like remember here 5% equals 0.05. So that's the decimal. You have to put in your decimal equivalent of your interest rate. And then cell B4 would be for the number of periods. Now you can put any decimal equivalent for interest rates you want here, but you have to put in a decimal equivalent. So let's go on and look at these formulas here. So I'll scan down the list here, and you can write those down, and then remember you put them here for like the future value. That formula goes here. So when you enter these, the interest rate, your number of periods, you hit the enter button, and these are calculated out automatically. Now this would replace those tables that I was talking about earlier. All right, let's scan on down the list here. Okay, let's look at our future value formula first here. I'll just go through these slowly so you can write them down. Now be careful when you start putting your parentheses in and so forth here so they're in right. Okay, that was first the future value here. Now here's the present value formula. Okay. Okay, here's a future value of an ordinary annuity. Again, be careful when you put your parentheses in here. They have to be incorrect. And make sure you get your minus signs and plus signs and then this caret in here correctly. Okay, here's a present value of an ordinary annuity here. Okay, here's a future value of an annuity due. Okay, and here's the present value of an annuity due. Again, be careful when you put your parentheses and your divisions and so forth and your multiplications in here so they turn out correct. All right, so that summarizes our formulas here and how we'd make our little Excel sheet for calculating out all these discount factors.